Cause I'm on my phone.
Oh, okay. No worries.
Okay, here I go. I'm gonna wait. Where do I go to do this? Can you tell I never do this?
There's always I'm trying to think. Can I share it without going out of? Bang. Yup. We live.
No, I don't know what I can do. Hold on. Wait.
Do y'all like that banner? Do y'all want me to add y'all own personal stuff to it, or like?
Girl, nah, that shit's fine.
What you talking about? The regular banner we got?
The one at the bottom.
No,
listen. At this point in life, if niggas don't know where to find us at,
let's say hell, they don't listen then. Goddamn.
Right. We all been doing this as podcasters and or fans and or a collective for the last like 5 years. If niggas don't know where to find us at by now. Shit.
If nothing else, you can hit me up to ask me about somebody else's podcast, and I can give you an oral history. Goddamn, a long ass time at this point. Just
right. I told somebody the other day, nigga, when we was trying to like be famous and make up call-ins, VJ would do this white girl voice called Susie Sprinkle and fake call into our show with shit I had already prepared. Like, say this, I'm gonna ask you
this. That's funny as fuck.
We were a mess, but
yeah, man, the good old days.
Yeah, man.
Now people are weird, so
it'd be like that. I think
very
apparently,
so.
like.
Today I got told.
What?
Are we live? Never mind.
Okay, well we're live, and I'll tell you something that happened to me yesterday. So I'm like work. I was I went to the Raiders and Bears game to work or whatever.
We lost.
Fuck y'all niggas.
Bitch, VJ, pause. Real second. Okay, so this morning, so when I got up, I had to be there at 7 a.m., right? So I get up, I put my fucking orange, like, fucking shit on my eyes, like, so niggas who know, they know what it is, because I can't, like, outwardly be like, oh, because I'm at the Raider Stadium and shit, I need those tips. And so I was like, but every time I could, like, a bear person come up with me, I'd be like real quick, like, oh, we up? I see it. Like, because it was so great. I had such a good time last night. But, okay, so the person that was, like, managing the area or whatever, she kept coming around checking on me or whatever. Bitch, at one point, like, it was just super busy, so I was, like, just doing a lot. But at one point, like, she definitely called me sis, and it just, like, went like this. And then, like, I was in the car, like, driving home, like, and I was like, what do I do with this? Like, I don't know. It's like, why did she call me that? Like, I mean, it's fine. It's not like I haven't worked with her before, so, like, I'm aware of her. I know her. But, like, she's never called me sis. She's not one of those, like, bamboo earring white girls. You know what I'm saying? She's, like, a regular white girl. And she just called me sis. And I was just like, I didn't know how to feel about that. And I was like, I don't know how to feel. I don't know.
Tell her she did a racism and you don't like it.
I think, because, I mean, the only reason I say that is, like, it made me, because I thought about it later. Like, it didn't just, like, roll off and then I just, like, never thought about it again. I was like.
I feel you. I hate when white boys call me bro. Like, you can tell off top if the racist or not. Or, it's not even racism. It's
brother man.
Too hard. No, even with bro, like, you can hear the way it comes out. Some white boys just say it correctly, and some are saying it because
they're like bruh. Like, it's a bruh, and it's like a very easy lilt to it. And then the ones that are like trying to force it in, like that
bro.
Like that. Who is that white girl who sounds like she got a mouthful of marbles? Whoa, Vicky, that's her name.
Whoa, Vicky. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the one that's videos floating around of her in the car, and she just, I guess, her vocabulary chip glitched.
Her
black lady vocabulary chip that's in her back glitch because she was just in the car saying shit that didn't make sense.
Okay. Oh, okay, because Small Wonder Vicky.
In her faux nigga accent. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, she.
Damn, I forgot about Small Wonders.
She's a small wonder. That was my shit, and it, like, for a small point in my life, people try to act like it wasn't a real show. Like, and I was like, well, I don't understand. Like, but I realized that those people I was asking were out fucking, and I wasn't yet.
Oh yeah. See, they so
That would
this
explain
was
it.
the show.
Like I was trying to
That
explain
would explain it.
Roundhouse when I was drunk, and I
It's
I
like-
know it
remember
was a
that show.
thing. I know it was a fucking thing.
It was a thing. It was a bunch of white kids on Nick. It was like
Yeah,
it was like
a
Saturday
fucking
Night
set. It was
Live.
like all that, but like not
Yeah,
funny,
but
with,
was
like,
super white.
kids. Yes.
But like super
what I'm
white.
saying? It was like
I
it's
remember
like,
that show.
It's like trying to get somebody to remember Out of This World. And niggas don't remember that shit. You remember the girl used to talk to her dad through she was half alien, half human, and she used to talk to her dad through that little crystal cube in her room.
Actually, I think I do remember that.
It was
Are we talking about
outside-
Xenon? Like
No. Xenon is fucking amazing. Shout out to Kristen Storm, girl, wherever you are, because I don't know, in Protozoa, because zoom, 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 make my heart go boom, boom, like
Boom,
supernova,
boom.
girl.
Small Wonder. Yeah.
See? Yeah. Oh no,
That was my
that's Small
shit.
Wonders. I'm still talking Out of This World. But no. Yeah.
No.
This was like around the Alf days, Harry and the Henderson days.
I remember all of that.
What was the one with my man? What's the name? Was the alien? The nigga that killed himself.
Mork and Mindy.
That boom. There we go.
Oh.
It was around those days.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Oh, okay,
give
yeah,
her
I
time
missed
to
that.
eat the
My
little
bad,
one.
yeah.
You can't.
Oh.
You cannot
You
eat
can't
it.
eat him.
But no, yeah, there
You
was
had food
the
today.
joint Out of This World. She was half human, half alien. Her dad was
And her
the
dad
alien.
was an alien?
Yeah.
Okay.
Of course, you know what I'm saying.
She was
Her
just
dad
living with her mama.
It was like
So, like-
interracial shit from a different perspective. Her dad was the black guy, mine was the white chick.
Okay, but like, how do you explain? Isn't it easier to explain that your daddy a black dude versus your daddy live in Jupiter? Like
Anybody that would ask where her dad was at, her and her mom was, that nigga was always on a business trip. Like always.
He went to the store for cigarettes and he never came back.
He never came back.
I think the one time that nigga showed up, he was in like a spacesuit and we didn't see his face or some shit. It was weird.
Okay. Y'all ready?
Yep.
Gang's all here. She's locked and loaded.
Listen, and I love that you show up on time. Like
She
really,
does.
like
She
here
definitely
we
shows
are
up
ready
on-
to start, and here you are. Okay.
Cameras
I
are
like
What
it.
are we
They
talking
voice-
about today?
Bob Ross.
The realest
Happy
white boy alive.
Accidents, Betrayal, and Greed.
Man.
If you guys haven't seen it or know where it's at, it's on Netflix. We were super excited about this. Like, I think we just realized we just like threw it into like the mix right now. So this is like super like, but like
Yeah.
we were all very excited about like when it was like coming out and like super excited. Mostly because like the trailer, it didn't fucking show you anything, so it made me super nervous. So let's talk about, before we talk about what it's really about, let's talk about when you first saw that trailer where they couldn't show you any information about it, what the fuck you thought was happening. Did you think he was a murderer?
I thought that he, well, because I do
Happy
true crime,
Accidents, Betrayal, and Greed. That's the name of it. That's all we got. And we got a whole bunch of disclaimers about us not being able to tell you what it's about, but you just got to watch it.
Right.
I thought that man was smuggling coke through them paintings.
Okay, Contra. Okay.
Definitely wasn't murder, but it was like it was
like, drugs and pedophilia, because that's really all that's
I
left.
was on-
I
I
didn't
was
think
on
he
the-
was murdering nobody.
I was on the spectrum of damn, I love Bob Ross. Please don't be touching little kids.
And I really
Please.
thought it was gonna be some
Bitch,
shit like he was
please-
touching people
please
and
go
some
home.
fucking like art thing.
No.
Like he was molesting the women behind the paint brushes.
Right.
I'm laughing at you and Jay. Jay, we know that his hair is eerily close to my man Bob Ross's hair. We'll find out later why Adam Abdul-Jabbar does not belong to your boy.
Nigga, when I found out, I was like, what?
Right.
For real?
Okay. So, guys, Bob Ross. If for some reason y'all are watching us and don't know who Bob Ross is, that's weird for me. But he was like
Way
the
too
nigga,
You're too young. Turn it off.
Yeah.
right
probably, right? Like,
If you don't know who Bob Ross is, you're too young for everybody on this show and everybody we associate with.
probably. But y'all remember
I feel
him.
like you're not old enough to drink, and you need to. Why are you on the internet? Don't you have homework to do? Get off. Log
That's
off.
the only way
Let
you
me
should
see.
right. Real talk. Because niggas that's like even niggas that was born in the 90s saw Bob Ross reruns.
Right. Shit, we do. Like I only saw reruns. Like
I was alive when Bob Ross was still doing this thing.
oh because hold on, when did he stop doing the shit? It was like 91.
96.
The last show was 94.
Okay, so I was like mad small, but I probably saw some of the real ones. But I feel like a lot of the times, like after that, like growing up, like being like,
yeah, for sure. Don't get me
was
wrong.
like,
I wasn't even a teenager when he died, so a lot of the shit I did see was reruns. But I remember going to a daycare where she taught us to paint, and she would turn on Bob Ross, and so I just remember being like 4, 5, 6 years old, actually seeing that dude. So
that's dope. That's dope.
Nice.
You had the
Very
best daycare teacher.
Oh,
it is.
You know, in the 80s, Detroit was the shit. We was all rich then. Then crack came.
All right. So who's telling the story? Steve Ross.
Yes.
I'm going to be honest, guys.
Robert Stephen Ross. Yeah, go ahead. My bad.
Robert Stephen Ross. Yeah, I'm glad he stopped. He cut the Robert off just because it's like that becomes a tongue twister. I feel like to say it.
That was Bob's name. Right. Robert Stephen Ross.
True.
Well, because then otherwise y'all.
I guess I can say it.
Yeah, then he'd be Bob Jr.
Like,
nobody wants to be called BJ. Shout out to my brother though. But anyway,
but not like that.
But not like that. You know what I'm saying? All right.
It's not as cool when white people do it. So
exactly.
Right. Yeah. Right. Exactly. Okay. So, Steve is his only son. Yeah. Right. He has a right. Am I right with that? Yes.
I think Steve's his only kid, right?
Yeah, I think his only kid.
I think he was slanging the penis around, but Steve the only baby.
Safely. Right. All right.
What was safe penis slinging in the 60s and 70s though?
Pulling out.
He was doing the same thing everybody else was doing.
All you had to do was go get a shot of penicillin and be good to go.
Okay, so Steve is the person telling the story here.
In the 60s and not know about super gonorrhea.
Not like Black the fact syphilis. That it put a cape on. Like
right. On the subject, but off the subject. If you go overseas, when I was in the Navy, if you go overseas and catch black syphilis, you're not allowed to come back to America. They wouldn't even let you back on the boat. Yeah.
What do the black syphilis do?
I don't know. Evidently, some shit to do way worse than regular syphilis. I guess.
So to be clear, you can never come back home.
I know your ass couldn't get back on that ship and come with us.
Damn, is it airborne?
No.
I was gonna say, like, how do a nigga give you black syphilis and y'all not fucking?
Right. I just know you couldn't get on that ship and come back to America with us. Maybe you gotta
stay here for treatment. We don't have it on the boat.
I don't know what to do with this. So.
I'm gonna Google it when we get done. I'm gonna Google because I need to know everything about black syphilis now.
Right.
Yeah. Well,
at the bottom, that shit's gonna be like other names, COVID-19.
That would be hilarious. Okay, so Steve is telling the story, guys. And let's just get into it. So Bob first started we'll start, I guess, the way it's going. So Bob started painting first on like old like gold miner pans. Like that was like his first thing. What are we laughing at, Jay? What did I miss? Okay.
Bob was just a white man who liked to paint. That's really what it was.
Real shit.
He was in the military. He had a wife. He had a kid. And Bob was like, "This shit sucks, but I'm gonna paint myself through it." So,
well, he was in Alaska, so like, if Alaska's good for nothing else, it's good for scenery. Like fucking scenery and scenic.
And serial murderers, they're good for that too.
That too.
And niggas that moved from LA.
And a little happy murderer.
There's a lot of Crips. Did y'all know Alaska had a very big Crip population?
I actually did know that.
And they're all Pacific Islanders.
I also did know that. So quick, like random, totally off subject, but also on subject of Alaska. Oh, I got you. So speaking of Alaska, do you guys remember BET Uncut? And then do you guys remember the rapper Joker, the jail bells?
Yes, nigga.
He was the only person that I knew in the whole world that lived in Alaska.
Only rapper from Alaska. We just talked about him in my friend group the other day. That's funny you bring that nigga up.
Like, Nobody ever remembers who the fuck he is. And I'm like, he was just like this nigga, and he had like a song with Busy Bone, and he was on Uncut. He had like multiple videos, and all of his scenery was niggas in boots and fucking parkas.
The whole entire video was just niggas in the snow. Yep.
Right. But talking about gangster shit.
Little did we
Sometimes
know.
you gotta do a drive-by on a snowmobile, man.
So I didn't know it was some kind of activity happening in Alaska.
My fofo make sure all your Eskimos don't grow.
Look.
Was that racist?
I think. I think a little.
Oh.
Okay. So he lived in Alaska. They lived there for 12 years. He got stationed there. Right. I don't really think we need to mention Vicky Ross too much. She's his first wife.
Just not really.
But anyway,
she made so that was the
Vicky
end of
was his starter wife. He went out and got a bitch he really loved after that.
True story. Well, I mean, that's what happened. We got Steve though, so that was cool. Bob, we find out early on in life that Bob has always been a hair guy. He's giving you little bouffants. He's giving you like real, you know what I'm saying, like real like good like 60s and 50s like hairstyles.
Elvis stole all his songs from Muddy Waters, but he stole his hair from Bob Ross.
I think you might be right.
Shit was laid, nigga.
It was.
But as we remember him, he always had the fro, right?
Right.
Like the signature fucking Sandy Brown with the little bangs, like fucking fro, right?
Yep.
Nobody can pull off a fucking fro with bangs.
Another racist. It was a Jew fro. I'm sorry, people, but it was the Jew.
Well, it turns out it was just a perm. Like,
word.
I hate to say that because like I want nothing to come from this except like people to just like know and understand and like love Bob Ross like the way that I feel like I have after watching this. Right. But I definitely don't want to throw no salt on his name.
No, not
but
at
your
all.
boy was definitely going to the beautician and getting them little perm rods in.
And he said, what did he say? He said it was called getting his rods
springs tightened. His springs tightened. So listen,
springs tightened up.
But if I hear anybody slandering this nigga because his fro wasn't real, you know where to find me.
He the one white man. He's the one white man. If he want to have a perm, he can have one. Anybody trying to hear that? Mm-hmm. He can have a perm. We ain't got nothing.
Do you hear me? He said his hair was thanks to God and his beautician. Please come on now.
And you better let him know. Like, okay. By the grace of God, these perm rods do what they need to do. Can't everybody be
because Regis and them was trying to play him on air and shit.
Regis trying to play everybody on that hoe, and he should have knocked him off that fucking chair.
Why did I just find out today Regis got fired for grabbing Nikki's ass? Where the fuck was I at?
Wait, grabbing Nicki whose ass?
Nicki Minaj.
And
he grabbed her ass on air in 2010, the beginning of 2011. All of a sudden, he didn't want to do the show no more. No, nigga, you got fired.
I'm sure I didn't know that. Severance package, and they forced him to retire because he was senile. But
that too.
That's what I'm like. Like Nicki, who?
Right. Look it up. I said the same thing.
I mean, it was and honestly, like I don't like Regis that damn much, but I just feel like in his dementia, he was just like,
That's what I'm saying. I was like, Nicki told he clearly has fucking all of the old
man. Like touching it, like
he did it on air.
What is this?
He's standing there looking at her, and then goes over and grabs her ass, and was like, "What the fuck just happened?"
What is it made out of?
How did it get there?
Yo, even when Kelly and Mike had the show, that shit was always Regis and Kathy Lee to me. Like that shit was never nothing else. And side note, when you're a young nigga and you don't understand shit, I thought Kathy Lee was the last name. I thought they were married. I thought it was Regis and Kathy Lee, and they were.
You thought it was Regis Lee and Kathy Lee?
I don't think Kathy liked that nigga either. Like,
not truly. Like,
Kathy fucked with him. She was glad he was gone. She was like, she was done. Hey.
Kathy Lee was married to an ex-football player. She was probably like, this nigga right here.
This pasty bitch.
Right.
Okay, so.
All right, my bad. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. So then we meet John. Is it Sam?
John Tam, his homeboy. Man,
Homeboy John
man.
Tam.
we're gonna get into it. But if I resonated and rocked with anybody, they did my boy John wrong. But go ahead.
They really did. So John, Bob ended up going to some of his classes.
Right.
To like not necessarily to learn to paint, right? But just to, like immerse himself in fucking art, basically.
I think John was the nigga that kind of was already in that lane. So if you want to be around artists and other people doing
like
art at that time, you went
exactly.
to John's class. Yeah.
And John made it very clear in the documentary, like, I didn't teach this nigga nothing. This nigga came with the fucking skills.
And we was liking art together. Like
that's it. He can't, like he said, his nigga would come in my class and paint shit and everybody else would stop fucking painting so they can fucking watch this nigga paint.
Right.
Like, even me probably.
Because what he said the first thing that he told them was paint something that you love. So everybody was already painting different shit. It's just that Bob was already lit. Like he wasn't doing canvases first, but whatever the fuck he was doing was litty. So
yeah, very litty. Speaking of painting things you like, it's very obvious that he is like super into nature. I feel like I can just mention this now because it's not really pertinent to like the way the story's going. Right. But there's multiple times in the documentary where this nigga's just playing with animals. Like he got 2 squirrels in his pocket. He got a fucking fox. Yep. He got a fox fucking rifling through his fucking fro. Like this nigga, when I say loves fucking animals, like this nigga loves like nature and just like every aspect about it. Like the happy trees, the bushes.
Right.
Yeah, he said he hunted with a camera.
Right. This nigga was always out in nature.
That lovely man had 2 squirrels in his pockets and a fox on his head, and all I saw was dinner and a hat. I'm not gonna lie to you.
All I saw was like, did anybody give that squirrel a bath?
Are we gonna smother them in gravy, or are we frying them, or what are we doing? And I felt bad about that.
He was feeding this little squirrel with the little dropper. Like,
so look, somebody told me. Somebody told me.
Squirrel legs, you gotta fatten them up.
Somebody told me that all Midwest niggas from our generation.
Gotta tighten them up before you saute them. That's all.
All Midwest niggas from our generations are Southern transplants. Another way you can prove that is because nobody on this show said ew when she said dinner.
I mean, I'm not gonna eat it, but I know niggas that will.
Hey. Not gonna tell you I'm finna run out and cook one right now.
Look,
but I know some people
if you not
that have
Midwest,
and will.
If you're not from the Midwest, you are trying to figure out which one is dinner and which one is the hat. We know.
Oh Lord, have mercy.
That's all. I was like, "Ooh, flowers! We're getting it hot degrees hot."
If you ain't never had a little fried squirrel, bitch, you ain't never lived.
He had the camera out. I was like, "Oh, that's right, Bob. Take before and after photos of your face."
Oh Lord! Holy cow!
Ignore me. I was hungry. I'm sorry. My bad.
So then that's how we're introduced to John, just understanding what Bob really liked to do, and then also how he came into his class and wasn't there to learn. Really, he knew everything. He knew.
He just liked
one of Bob's like biggest like influences was this weirdo nigga named William Alexander, and he probably wasn't weird, y'all, but like his voice, and he was just like way too hype about these pictures.
And he looked like a penguin.
Very European.
He looked like a penguin that could paint.
Yeah, it was just like European, and so it was very like the accent is not German. It sounds Russian or Polish to some degree, but
I can see.
But it was giving very harsh tones like German, and it was just hard to listen to.
He sounded like he asked for water very, very roughly, but would cry if you smacked the shit out of him. It was very like
he did everything very harsh, like the way he was like doing like everything was harsh and like too fast. It was just so much going on. Like I feel like as a kid, if I'd have rolled across a William Alexander show, I'd have been.
It was very manic. It was manic. Like he was.
And like he was, but he was also painting shit in like half the time that Bob Ross ends up painting stuff. Like he's doing it super fast, stuff like that. And a lot of the reasons why he was able to create these things so fucking fast, even being a weirdo, is because he was using a technique called wet on wet technique, which is also called, I think, alla prima. Alla prima. And it's basically like, when you think about what that means, like think of like impressionism, like with the fucking dots and shit to give you like texture and like depth and things like that in pictures.
Right.
Making
so
pictures before it dry.
Yeah, you're using acrylic paints, doing a very thin base layer, and then before it dries, adding oil paint over it so that it gives it kind of a 3D texturing, because like they show us some medieval paintings and like they really pop. Like it looks like
that red dress, my nigga, on the
yes. I was like, well, goddamn.
I was like, shit. That shit like it was about to be at the Met Gala next year.
You feel me? Like that shit was, and it was like very like, it was great. It was amazing.
It was
so I guess if you're good at that, if you're really, really good at that, then you can make some shit pop. Now I'm telling you, I've tried to watch Bob Ross and paint something and it didn't.
See, but like, were you going in there with the William Alexander attitude? Like,
I need to come back. I need to humble my spirit and come back with the spirit of Bob Ross.
There you go.
You really do, like, because you was going in there too thirsty to be trying to paint like him. You got to go in there real chill. You feel me?
You was
this
Bill,
shit is nothing.
You wasn't Bob. You know what I'm saying?
You was Bill. You wasn't Bob.
It feels like I need to like smoke weed first, but since I can't smoke, I can't.
Right.
Somebody sent me some CBD gummies. I gotta.
I'm trying to draw something. Okay, so
when we get off, just send me your address. We'll talk about it. No, go ahead.
So, Bob, at this point, remember, guys, he's painting up a fucking storm in Alaska. He in a newspaper and all types of shit, doing all kinds of crazy shit. And this nigga really gets introduced to William Alexander. Is like, I'm over this military shit. I'm trying to paint. Like, that's what I want to do. So this nigga is like, he goes and meets him, and they basically like start a fucking like crew, kind of like they start like he basically becomes like a traveling artist with him. So like William Alexander, I don't know if he was one of the first people, but he was one of the most, I guess, known. Look, Jay, no. But he was like one of the most known, I think, artists at that time that were going out and doing like workshops, like for people, you know, to sit and like paint like I'm painting, like the first fucking paint and sip, but without the alcohol. Yeah, that's basically what it was. Like
apparently, and I guess like pre-COVID, this was still a thing you could go do. I did not know that.
Like, for real?
Yeah, like you could go to like Michael's or like any of these like crafting stores, and they used to have classes you could take. Like they would have workshops, and you could learn to do everything from like floral arrangements to like framing shit to like painting.
I made a birdhouse once.
Your man's been to a Joanne fabric sewing class pre-COVID. Nigga, I'm just saying. Shout out
to you.
I do
that's so
something.
Cute. Oh, we gonna get together. We gonna make a quilt. I love you so much.
I'm down.
Okay, so they're doing. So basically, he starts traveling with him, and he's like assisting him doing these things. Dana, that's when we meet Dana, right? And he's another friend of Bob. He ends up being like one of the, I would say, more staple people. It's like basically him, Bob, and Steve, right?
Yeah,
like as far as like the complete collective, right?
Yeah, they was running around, roaming around like street urchins, popping up, painting landscapes. It was real cute.
Mm-hmm.
Them niggas was everywhere together.
They just running around like delightful street urchins. It was.
They had that nigga back.
Not delightful street urchins.
They were like newsies, but no news.
but newsies, but with paintbrushes. Okay, so
exactly it.
How did he meet Annette again?
So he met.
He wanted to come do the Bill Alexander joint, and there weren't any available, and so then I think she hooked up with Bob.
Right. So remember, Bob was catching his stride. She wanted to come do Bill Alexander. Bill pretty much.
He was like VIP only, bitch.
Like a true pimp. He was like, bitch, I'm too famous for you. I'm gonna put you on with my nigga Bob.
See if he can do something for you.
Bob, see what you can do with this bitch. I got
I got one. Limo's waiting. See if you can teach us all.
And you know how we did the show and we was like, damn, Mary J is the reason why everybody on Bad Boy had a shitty career?
Mm-hmm.
For everything that happened to Bob Ross, is it Bill Alexander fault?
Because you pushed the fucking bitch on to me.
He passed that bitch on.
I don't know, but she looked
So
untrustworthy. So maybe
From the
Bob should have maybe took. I don't know. The red flags were there, Bob. I
Right.
don't know.
so we meet her, and she the story we get is that she was really into painting, but fell for him in the sense of just as a person and getting into the painting because she was going through the death of her son, and she needed something pretty much to try to fill that void. And getting into these painting workshops is really what did that for her.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure it's not getting her back cracked like a glow stick, but
you know, hey,
that looked like her back was cracking like a glow stick anyway.
I'm just saying, are you sure it wasn't that nigga? He wasn't popping his dick on her forehead, and that's why she was feeling better. Is all I'm saying.
You see what I'm saying? Because like, if you think about it, we meet Annette, and then we kind of get right into that part because at this point, Bob is married to Jean. So we skipped over that, but Bob met Jean. I forgot her last name when they met. But
Jane that
died. Jane, I'm sorry, Jane. They're married at this point. They meet Annette and Walt Kowalski. Walt and Annette are doing these, they like
he caught it like a happy little tree. He caught it.
He did throw right through the green pussy at him. That nigga was like, "I'm open." Like, and so they meet or whatever, and everybody. It moves so fast because Bob is catching all of this great motherfucking traction that they form a business.
Mm-hmm.
And in between them, the part that really struck me is when Dana said that the husband and wife from opposite marriages are who. So Walt was hanging out with Jane a lot, and Bob was hanging out with Annette a lot.
But I think Walt was hanging out with Jane by default because Annette and Bob were so engulfed in like what they were trying to do together.
True shit. Not because right.
Like the talent was hanging out. Jane was like admin, and then Walt was like the business person. So they the ones doing the shit together, but also
right. The other part. Jane should have been dancing and smiling in the videos and shit, you know. But go ahead.
If there was ever a time.
Yes, right.
Okay, where are we? Oh, okay. So
they start the company together.
So he first, Bob has a show, right? It's in Chicago. He asked Dana to go with him,
right?
But it didn't go so well. It got canceled.
There was nobody there. Nobody showed up.
Nobody came. So because I don't know if it was because of that, but the next thing they say is that I'm sorry, I'm like super high, so I'm like eating these hot Cheetos. Like at any point, like just tell me to fucking stop. Are y'all okay? I just realized I was like, damn. Like when I said I was like, yo, I'm high. Like, okay, all right, we're back. Okay, so I don't know if it was because of this, but right after they said that the show in Chicago didn't work out, that Bob and Jane moved in with the Kowalskis.
Right.
I don't know if it was because of that or if they were just trying to make a compound. Like I don't really know. Like.
It was kind of all in the same. That shit didn't work. They moved in because they had already started the business together, and they were shopping them. Because remember, this is around the time where we meet. Jesus Christ! My notes on the other side of the room. The other couple that was painting.
Oh, the Jenkins.
The Jenkins. This is around the time
the
we
white
meet
Jenkins.
Them. Right.
The white
Jenkins. Jenkins. Right. And so we meet them because they're already on TV. Right. They already have.
They already got sponsorship through Weber.
Exactly. And so we meet. I think meeting them at that time, even though they play a very important part of the story, I think meeting them at that time was to transgress us into learning how Bob got on with PBS, because they don't really go through. Oh, we shopped at this station and that station. It goes. They moved in. They started this business. Chicago didn't work. They moved in together. Bob's on PBS.
Yeah, so when they first started doing the show, like he's doing it out of the house, and they're like throwing black curtains in front of the fireplace so he could set up and paint. Like,
right. There was no studio.
This was like 81 or 82, I think, when the Joy of Painting, when they did their first series of that.
Something like that, yep.
Before we get too far into that, I just want to take a moment to mention, because I think it makes sense later on, or it'll come up later on, that Walt Kowalski was ex-CIA, and he learned how, and he like uses connections to like get him things. So I think that also probably helped with the PBS thing as well.
True shit, real talk.
And then he used to record all his business calls using a suction cup on the end of on the backside of the phone.
But you know,
I don't even know. Like that sounds like that sounds like 2 Dixie cups. Like,
dog, that's exactly what I thought. Because the nigga said a suction. Dana was like he used a suction. No, I think John said he used a suction cup in a stream, and that's all I saw was grown ups when all the kids was doing motherfucker. Yeah, bro. I was like, wow, okay. It worked. So I guess
it worked though. I guess because he had recordings of it.
Right.
So anyway, Joy Painting was like 81, 82. This is in Indiana where they were filming.
Right.
And I think it's interesting to know that like Bob was Bob in real life. Like he like that was not, besides the voice, and we'll find out later on what happened with the voice. But besides the voice, Bob Ross was Bob Ross on and off camera. Like everybody that has an account of him, like it's nothing but good shit. Like just how much, like how caring he was and how genuine he was and how he used to crack dirty jokes before niggas started recording. Like he was just like a really like down to earth, like chill, the same chill dude that you saw painting them fucking happy little trees and shit.
Real shit.
At some point, people were so interested in the Joy of Painting that people became more interested in like helping other people paint like this. So they started the teacher paintings, instructions.
Because he was doing the classes. By this point, the classes were so fucking big at this point.
Yeah, that they were trying to figure out, I think, ways of how to like downsize the classes.
Right.
So now people are like being Bob Ross certified, trained, or whatever. And then my favorite parts. So Bob also during the Joy of Painting had Steve on a lot. Right. And Steve like didn't really want to paint. But this nigga was so good. And Bob always spoke so fucking highly of this nigga Steve and this nigga's fucking mountains.
His mountains?
Like, Steve got the best mountains on this side of Mississippi. And you can debate your dad.
You can ever seeing a dad show up for his kid, nigga. Like, when your parent, like, it's like that one time, when your parent wake you up, come dance with my friends. I don't want to dance with your fucking ass friends. Right. This nigga didn't want to dance. But that nigga knew if he walked in the room, bitch, I'm the mountain man. I'm not paying nothing today. But you already know.
Right. Like Bob would really like cut his shit in half and be like, all right, I'm gonna let Steve finish up because he gonna come in here and do what he do. Like basically, like this nigga Steve come in with his hand in his jean pocket, like, yeah, whatever. Like
Bob would go sit on the stool and lean like he was like, from Dateline and be like, yes, look at those mountains.
And when the funniest part is watching them, looking at them right next to each other and seeing them be fucking identical father and son, and this nigga with this fucking regular white boy mullet
joint, yeah,
and then Bob with the fro.
But all of this is like still
like mom jeans with the belt and the button down,
the regular button down shirt. That nigga let him shit out his son though, bro.
This nigga Steve like, yeah, whatever. He's like, boy, Steve, you so fucking good at those mountains.
You see those mountains. This nigga
like he really was like hyping this nigga up. Right. Like he like that shit cool, but y'all want mountains. See my nigga Steve. Like he got you.
Yeah, like I gotta get Steve back on here. Steve ain't been on here in 12 episodes.
Right.
Man, let me tell you in for a treat.
I know y'all.
Steve back, he gonna fuck this shit up.
Nigga, he been working on some mountains in the sunset, nigga. It's gonna blow your fucking socks off.
I'm gonna dab this grass in so we can finish up. But let me tell you, when Steve get on here, it's gonna be some shit.
This is gonna be A1, nigga.
It's gonna be unbelievable. Tune in.
But he was just like so like, and it was giving me Space Jam 2 vibes though, because it was like Bob Ross was super good at painting and he wanted his son to be a good like paint too, but he didn't really want to paint, but he was good at it. He didn't really want to paint. So it's giving me Space Jam 2 vibes, but without the fucking Don Cheadle and all that shit. Like, Steve stayed true to his daddy.
If you haven't seen Space Jam 2, just know she gave the perfect fucking analogy. Because that's exactly what
No, but I mean, I don't think that's anything. Like, when you have parents that are famous for something, you don't want to also do the same thing, because I think you get to a point where you want to forge your own path, or that's what white people tell me. I don't know, because my mom was famous for painting some shit, and she was like, bitch, you could paint mountains too, and if you get on here and paint these mountains for 3 episodes out of 16, we can ensure that we keep getting fed off this for forever. Your kids ain't gonna have to paint no motherfucking mountains. I'd be like, what you need me to do?
You know what I think it was, Steve, honestly? I think he found the whole family situation weird. And I think he had already peeped the bullshit, you know what I mean? Because now, all of this is kind of running together, because now, I remember, this is around the time when we find out that, what was the secretary? Not the secretary, but the director.
Oh, fuck, I forgot. I didn't write it down.
And
I know
the
you're talking about, though.
Director
He had a moxie-ass voice. I gotta explain that.
And I liked her shirt or whatever. Make art, not war. She had on the Bob Ross shirt. I was like, that was cute. But now I can't buy none because I know them.
But now I
can get the money. I thought about that too, bitch. Did you buy this from the Kowalskis? Anyway, we'll get to that. So when she said that
maybe she got it right.
Annette didn't show up, right? She just automatically left. Everybody felt more at ease because they couldn't understand why him and Annette had this connection, and no woman was allowed to get close to Bob. Because for one, Bob now, let's tar this together. Bob was the flirt of the year. And what we come to find out is that voice.
That voice.
The voice comes from Bob.
Y'all remember Joy of Sex? Because you're talking about William Alexander.
William was a loud nigga. Right.
Hype. We literally just fucking told y'all.
Right.
Super
very
hype.
manic.
Very rah. So Bob says, he looks at Dana, he says, man, we go to all these classes. It's majority women in these classes. And Bob's a super flirt. So he says, I'm going to just whisper to him. and then they start cutting to different scenes of the show and showing how he would use
like saying stuff. Like really like saying stuff.
What he say, my man say?
No, I can't.
I think he said we're just gonna gingerly caress it. We're just gonna caress it.
Yeah, caress. Like it was always very sensual adjectives for what they were doing with the brush. Like it was very sexy. It was like it was very like Patrick Swayze, Demi Moore, and Ghost when he's like doing like
we stand, bitch.
Look, but the nigga was
doing them soft strokes in that Afro girl.
The soft strokes in that goddamn canvas like we like.
This nigga would tell you. Right. This nigga said, right, but I won't make it look. This nigga said, caress it gingerly, all of this shit. And what
did he say? Make love to it at one point.
All of that. what was the word when he was ready? That nigga would take that brush, beat the devil out of it. Beat the devil out of it.
Beat it up, like
very subtle though. And then look at the screen on your ass, like beat the devil out of it. Look,
and then he would smile all sideways.
Bob looking his back to us, or he this way the whole time. Every time that nigga said something sexual, it was bitch.
Listen. I cannot.
That nigga done. So
he knew what he was doing. He had these hoes ready.
Oh my God. Joy of sex, joy of painting,
the joy of plants, the joy of whatever, the joy of Bob Ross coming into your living room every day. Beat the devil out of your
I wonder how many niggas was just sitting at the crib eating a ham sandwich and got a surprise blowjob out of nowhere after their wife was watching the Bob Ross.
She done painted these trees, and then she done took the goddamn smut off and put it out of nowhere at 11:30 a.m.
Looking for a dick, like
you was just a broke ass nigga that couldn't pay the mortgage at 9:30. But the best head ever. Bitch,
listen.
I still ain't paid the mortgage, but
okay. It's so relaxing to me. It just does something to me.
Right. But I say all that to say, we find out about Annette and Bob. They're having an affair. She goes into
Annette is, but I'm sorry, and let me just say this before you go on. Annette is visibly upset when he's flirting with other people. And this is before we know for sure that they had fucked at one point.
Right. Real shit.
And it's funny because they ask everybody in the documentary, well, what is the relationship between Bob and Annette? And everybody does the same noise.
Nigga was, it's like when your man's come to you like, yo, did you know my girl was cheating?
What's your girl look like again? Yeah, I do that.
That's when niggas get to playing the shit we got taught as kids. You know, I don't get another folks' relationship.
I really try not to. You know me, like I really don't try to get in all people's drama.
It was a lie. Like
that nigga Dana was like, Can I talk about this? I don't want to get sued. You know what I'm saying?
Like that's the running theme. No one here wants to be sued.
Right. Real shit. There's a lot of people that say didn't even do the documentary for fear of being sued by the Kowalskis.
They said over a dozen. Not like 2. Like
so the reason that I brought all the cheating up when we talked about Steve is because they find out supposedly that Annette and them are sleeping with each other, and Steve says when this comes out, he's walking down the hallway. Annette is sitting on the toilet with the door open, smoking a cigarette.
Chain smoking.
2 other cigarettes are, I guess maybe she put them out. Sometimes when you stress, nigga, you'll smoke a cigarette and forget that bitch is there. I've been there before when I used to smoke. And she looks at him and she goes, Steve, you're the only one that loves me. And this nigga's like, bitch, what? And I ain't gonna front. I thought this was about to take a turn for the worse. Like, damn, Steve knocked her down too.
Like she was about to fucking.
She was rubbing it. Like she got up,
take that shoulder out,
washed her hands, and like was rubbing him on the back in the hallway. Like,
right, like I never liked that afro anyway. Come here, nigga. Like, you know. But so yeah, this and so again, I think that's why Steve wasn't, because he already knew he could paint. He knew he loved his dad. They did everything together. But I think he didn't want to get wrapped up in the bullshit because he saw what was coming.
Right. So like we said, he's fucking Annette. What's the fucking wife's name again? Jane. Jane finds out that that's happening. Remember, they're all living together still. Like, let's not forget that. And apparently the issue is resolved. But it leaves a very nasty taste in everybody's mouth.
Right. Literally.
Lynette stopped showing up to filming.
Right. She stopped showing up to shows and all types of shit.
Which, why, girl, you're not even a talent. Who cares?
Facts.
Right. Oh, also, I feel like, I don't know if we didn't mention it earlier.
What's that?
But so the Jenkins, when Bob Ross is doing like these paintings and stuff and doing these shows, he says like, if you need some trees and mountains and shit, holla at your boy. Right. But if you trying to do flowers and all the other bullshit, like y'all really want to fuck with the Jenkins. Like, so he was like giving them like a stamp of like for real approval, like they're on my level type shit. They just paint things that I don't paint. So if you're into painting that, then you want to go paint with them. Like, and he would always like throw their name out there. I think that's important as we go through the story to know.
Yeah, it is. You know what? Hey, yo, and I kind of want, I'm not going to talk about because I know why you said that's important, but something that it made me think about. If you look at a motherfucker nowadays, it's like, okay, look at all of us. Everybody sitting right here does more than one fucking show, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Think about these fucking great artists. Why were they, if you think about the time that we live in and the way the human brain and evolution works and just technology and all of that shit, as dope as they were, why was Bob only creating mountain scenes and they was only doing flowers? Like,
why didn't they just
pay as fuck off of flowers and nothing else? You know what I'm saying? I don't know. That shit just kind of.
So what would you have suggested? A collective?
No, I'm just saying, just in general, if you're that dope, like,
why are you only paying?
None of the shows that we do sound like this show, right? If I go do a different show, it's not this show. So if they're doing flowers, they could have done something else. They could have probably painted scenes like Bob too. I just didn't understand why everybody was pigeonholing themselves into one lane. You know what I mean?
It's one of those things where you want to create like a signature something.
Right.
And so like you're getting on television, like they said, this was the 80s when everybody that was doing this
was
type of
on
thing
TV.
had a show. They
Yeah,
all had some
appreciate
type of public access show. They were all trying to capitalize on this thing, so you want to stand out. So you're showing
Yeah,
people
you
how to
did.
paint
Yeah,
this,
you're right. Because he
this
wasn't the
one
first nigga
thing
on
well.
TV. You're right.
Like
Right,
you
right, right.
probably can do 1,000 other things, but you want to do this one thing so well that when people think of you, this is what they think of. You are the go-to
Facts.
person for these things.
Facts.
Mhm.
I feel you. No doubt.
Yeah,
Because now,
I
I'd
plus
be painting everybody.
maybe how you know that fucking Bob Ross just did like fucking stick figures if it wasn't fucking mountains and shit. Like, how
Right,
you know
you're right.
That's
That
all
nigga
he
might
was
not
good
be
at.
dope.
Like,
Right.
Listen, because they talking about how everybody got the Bob Rosses, hanging on their walls and shit, and I ain't seen no goddamn pictures of no cats at the dinner table or.
Is it a Ross though?
Is
Okay,
it a
well,
Ross
no, okay,
We'll
no,
though?
get
it's
there.
a
Stay
Kowalski
tuned.
with a Ross name at the bottom, but I
Look, just when the motherfucker was about to click off. Wait a minute. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Right.
it's a Kowalski.
Okay, so the Kowalskis decide that they want to expand. They say this TV shit is cool, this PBS shit is cool, these little travel and things is cool, but we're trying to make money.
Right.
Bob was never in it for the money. Like,
Right.
that's super important to know as the story continues.
Now,
When
when
he
he says
for the
making
money,
money,
he'd have made some more sound business decisions.
when
He was
she
not
says making
sound
money,
business decisions.
now he should have. Bob was into the TV shit. The Kowalskis was into, if you think about, we talking about the 80s and the early 90s now, the packages, selling, anywhere you go to paint, nigga, it was the basic shit. Canvases, paint, brushes, paint.
Right. So the Kowalskis went to Weber, which is the company that was under contract with the Jenkins, the White Jenkins. I said Jenkins.
The
White Jenkins.
The White Jenkins. Okay, so they were already under contract with them for like years at this point with all of their things. They already had signature brushes and all of that shit. Like, again, that's why
Bristol brushes.
That's why Bob Ross was like giving up like so much credit to them and shit, because like they were already on the shit that he was, hadn't even really got to yet, right?
Right.
So they go to Weber for that. Like I said, Bob wasn't really into the money. Right around this time, also Jane passes.
Facts.
That fucking devastates the shit out of Bob. He took it really hard. And then right after that, this nigga Bob gets diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma.
Right.
I didn't even know that you could have a non-Hodgkin's, like with or without ice. Like, I don't know. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Jane had cancer and died, and then this nigga come up with cancer and died too. And then I was like, damn, can you inject people with cancer in a syringe? Because Kowalski seemed like
because somebody would check on him.
Was in the CIA.
I was like, it seemed like they murdered me. I was like, I know it's way out there, but I'm like, I don't know.
The CIA admitted to putting a motherfucking cancer needle in fucking what's the name shoe when they went to Jamaica.
Who's shoe?
Bob Marley. When Bob Marley caught cancer, that nigga they gave that nigga
a pair of cancer.
Not he caught it though.
Huh?
You said he caught it though.
I mean,
like a cold.
Okay.
Like he touched the surface.
That's technically what it was.
He got sneezed on. Oh my god.
But I'm saying, if you didn't get cancer the regular normal way, like we all seem to develop it, and somebody took a needle and fucking coated it in cancer, and
you caught it,
and you caught that shit, man. Fucked up.
So let's talk about his non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, though. During a lot of basically every fucking thing, he is using paint thinner. Right in that closed room, and he's hitting it against stuff, and it's like, could it have been going up his nostrils?
Right.
Could the paint thinner have been a contribution to
the cancer?
I don't know. But it was a good theory that somebody,
I think John brought up.
Yeah. John brought up. Anyway, so, okay. So now Bob is sick. And because Bob is sick, he's kind of having to back out a little bit of doing so many of the painting, the joint paintings and shit. Yeah, the shows and shit. So Annette decides that she's going to start painting.
Right.
Finally.
And this,
When
look,
she could have
the
just did
part
the
you
shit
about to get
herself
into,
the first
it fucks
time.
me up because I remember those times when he would be like, "Hey, somebody's gonna paint today," and then step off. And now to know that this nigga was sick and to know what you about to get into, it just I was like, God damn, bro, people is cruel than a motherfucker. But go ahead.
Right. So Annette starts going on the joy of painting, and it wasn't the joy of painting.
It was still the joy of painting. Yeah.
Okay, so she's going on joy of painting, and she is fucking painting some flowers. But these motherfucking flowers look crazy similar to some other flowers that we know and we love from the White Jenkins. I'm talking about remember, guys, again, the Jenkins was already established. So they already have books out. There's like, it's all types of shit out with these niggas.
Right.
These white niggas. And so, there is a book, and I forgot the actual names, but Mrs. Jenkins, she's like sitting in a little peacock chair, very 80s of her, you know what I'm saying? And she like, I got these fucking flowers. I'm gonna teach you how to make these shits. And then Annette, she goes, and here she is on this side of the peacock chair, like, all right, I also have these flowers
from a design that I stole from the White Jenkins.
From someone else. Like, so that's literally how she is. Like, I'm talking about like everything down to like Penrose mentioned earlier to the fucking badger brushes.
Yep.
At one point, right before the deterioration of the Jenkins's relationship with Weber, they have these badger brushes, and they've always had these badger brushes. And from what it sounds like, it sounds as if they were exclusive to their line.
To them, yeah.
So they're calling it like, hey, need some badger brushes. They're like, oh, sorry, girl. The badger is on the endangered species list. We can't even be giving you no more badger brushes. So you have to find another animal, or it's got to be whatever, fake or whatever.
Regular synthetic fiber.
Right. So sorry, girl. And so then, she's like, damn, like, the badgers is dying and shit. And then she go and look at fucking Annette shit, and Annette got badger brushes for sale through Weber.
And that's what I was about to say. Guess who she got them from? Right.
Through the same company that told her that they wasn't making that shit no more.
And then the guy that owned the company was like, girl, like, it's nothing personal. It's just business. And it's like,
because they had a contract with them for, I think, 15 years, they said, or over 15 years.
Like 15 to 17, one of them numbers, yeah.
Right. And we're at this point, we're talking about somebody that's in the background of Bob Ross. Like, not even like, you know what I'm saying?
And if you niggas know what Weber paint is, you know that's a really deep, like, I think to this day, the only niggas that's competing with Weber is like, I forgot the nigga name, the name of the paint company. But them niggas is still like, them
Weber is the go-to if you were looking for fine art supplies. Like they're the beginning and end of I need some acrylic paint and some brushes and whatever else.
True shit.
Yeah, which is insane when you think about it. You have a contract with these people, and then you just are telling them, "Nah, I don't got it." When you in fact got it, and the fact that these people were kind of like, "Yeah, shit was fucked up, but we didn't do anything." Why didn't you just sue this bitch? Like.
For selling your shit.
Like, that was my part. You don't have a copyright infringement case. You put out a whole fucking book, and you mean to tell me this lady ripped off her fucking book down to
like
the goddamn pictures.
The words.
Almost the words were saying.
The pictures, the techniques, and you don't think you could have went to court and had a case for her stealing your intellectual property? Like, I was very confused about that part.
Right, yeah.
Like, what is going on here?
They look like hippies. So
because to me, I ain't gonna front, I'm watching it. And I went all the way back to show 1. I was like, the wonderful world of the whites meet Bob Ross. Like, that shit just, like, because I mean, for what other reason would you not go sue unless you just didn't have the knowledge to know that you could do this shit?
Right.
Like, it makes no sense.
A lawyer at this point, I don't know, but I'm just like, nothing in my spirit tells me that them people couldn't have won a lawsuit. Like, I'm just like, maybe they are mistelling it or something. But from what they said and put on the screen, I don't see how they could not have went to court and won. If nothing else, you send a cease and desist letter to this crazy bitch and be like, ma'am, you need to
sit in one more peacock chair, bitch.
Like, sit on one more peacock chair. Don't you have no more goddamn badger brushes? I don't care what Weber tells you. You better not sell a goddamn other badger brush. Aren't they endangered? I'm finna call.
that was in danger.
I'm finna call the FBI.
My thing is, the Badgers got endangered, nigga, between my last shipment and this one.
They did.
Nobody knew beforehand.
Like, that's a lie. Like, and that's the thing. Why wouldn't you sue Weber? Like, you're under contract with these people. Why would you not sue them for breach of contract? They supposed to be delivering brushes, and they tell you the bitches are endangered, and now you got to have raccoon brushes, but this bitch get
not raccoon brushes.
Well, fox, squirrel, whoever. But the point is, if the contract say we got badger brushes, a bitch better have badger brushes. And you telling me that the badgers are endangered, but you steady making brushes
for these bitches? Like, come on.
You need to kill a badger to get the.
That's another thing, right?
Like, can't you just like shave them like sheep? Like,
I mean, but then
I've never met a badger, so I don't really know.
I was gonna say, he seems very, very timid. We've seen badger. I know we've all recently seen that video of that big ass badger running out of the water, damn near taking that dog, and a nigga had to pull his dog out the way. Badgers can get big.
So you gotta kill badgers to get their.
A badger bigger than a fucking German Shepherd, my nigga. This was like
I don't know. I feel like you put it on. I feel like you drug it and then just shave it and throw it back in the water.
Yeah, maybe that. I'm down.
I don't know.
Kill it, but
crank that bitch and shave him. I don't know. Maybe you can't do that. Maybe you got to take the high. I don't know.
Yeah, what the fuck is a badger's purpose? Because I almost said beaver, and then I realized what a beaver does.
A beaver be making dams and shit.
What does a badger do?
Make brushes. Badge.
Right,
badger make brushes.
They work at Weber. All of the badgers.
Right.
On the road. The niggas is just there.
Where are we?
So we are at Annette being on the show after we found out. Now, for all of y'all who haven't seen it yet, we know Bob has cancer because we watched the documentary. Bob doesn't want anybody to know that he has cancer. So when you're seeing him have Steven on the show, Annette has now stolen from the White Jenkins and she's on the show. It is because Bob does not want the world to know he has cancer.
He's deteriorating. It's just what it really is.
Right.
And he is
but the crazy part is we find out.
And the Kowalskis don't want anybody to know either.
That too. And we'll definitely get into that part. But it's like when we find out, I think it's season 14 or 15 or some shit, and this nigga ends up getting up to like season 30. He thought he was out this bitch quick, and so he just went into work mode. Like, nigga, let's get it.
Yeah,
he was doing like 3 goddamn shows a day. He was painting all the paintings. Hell,
all right, getting it in. But
Steve and Bob really got close again at this time. I don't think they were ever not close, but they just started talking more and stuff like that.
We said they fell out a little. Oh, okay. He wanted to do his own thing, and so they.
About the painting shit.
Yep, they did fall out for a second. Yeah.
Well, really, his dad was like, "Look, bitch, I'm dying, and I need you to come paint these paintings. Like, come on, be a team player."
And he was being a white kid in the 80s, so or the 90s. Okay, so Bob stopped the series with the Kowalskis. And then in like 95, he used to be on this show called Elmer and Friends. I had never heard of this show in my whole life.
Never seen it a day in my life.
He was the and Friends, and he used to come on a little painting and like give it sounds like inspirational fucking words to the kids. And
they didn't ever show what the like audio was on that. He just was there.
Yeah, right. He would be talking.
But he had on like
he
was
be in a book or something.
Yeah, but he was very sick, and he was wearing a wig at that point.
Terrible.
Listen,
listen. He was.
You could tell,
and it's so crazy, but like, I don't know that we would have saw that being little.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? So, but to watch it now, and like we saw this fucking beautiful wig for an hour and 15 minutes at this point, and that was a wig. Like we saw his hair, his beautiful hair the whole time. Is what I'm saying. And then we saw that wig, and then they had a nerve trying to put the bangs there. It just wasn't doing it.
Curly bang, and it was too curly.
Yeah.
And it was too curly curl and not perm.
The bang.
Not the bang.
So okay. So Steve and Bob go to the Kowalskis one night. And Bob is sick, so he's like, "Hey, my nigga, like, put me in my bed. I'm about to lay down. Whatever."
Right.
So Steve leaves out the room. Does she have something to add?
No, what she like to do?
Because your camera shaking, bitch.
Your dog is like what's her name's kid, always interrupting the show. I went there. I don't give a fuck. Anyway.
Get out. What are you doing?
Let's just Let's just
Continue. I'm here.
What is she jumping her arms? What is happening?
I don't know.
Oh man.
Bob Ross is very exciting to her. I don't know what the fuck is going on.
Ooh, shit.
Get out.
So Steve
Get out.
leaves
Bye.
out.
Goodbye.
That's why
Get
I
out.
end up blocked on a lot of people's pages.
Get out.
Yeah, and you.
We gonna walk on past that.
So-
Bob Ross.
So Steve goes out in the hallway, and Annette's hella waiting there, like with this piece of paper, and she's like, "Yo, I don't know what you got to do, but I need your dad to sign this paper." And she's like, "It's just like we trying to like start a foundation for him or whatever. Just sign right here. Don't even look at that." And this
Memorial
nigga was like,
Foundation. And then he
Right.
read it and he was like, girl, this looks an awfully like you're trying to get this man to sign his rights away to the company in his own likeness and image.
Yep.
royalties signing his name over. That's I saw. That's all I saw. Like I just saw, give it all to me, like black.
And Steve was like, no, I'm not gonna be able to do that.
Sorry,
And-
sis.
And then they started to call Bob and harass him like this man is in his last days. And they are literally calling his home phone and being like, you gonna sign them papers, bitch. I don't care if you dying. Like just real crazy.
To give the effect of how much they were calling. Again, if you haven't seen this yet, when they get to that part, a phone starts ringing. And it rings for 3 fucking minutes straight of the documentary to give you the tone and the feel. Because by that minute, I'm like, well, somebody answer this goddamn phone. You know, there was 3 minutes for me, and it was just continuous. So that was just to give the effect of they're calling this very, very sick man all day, every day, asking him for his likeness. It was disgusting.
Which is insane when you think about it, because they already had the controlling shares of the company. Like they could have just left him alone. Like we didn't touch on this, but to backtrack a little, but the way they set up Bob Ross is it Incorporated?
Incorporated.
BRI. Yeah.
So the way they have this set up is because it's just the 2 couples that are in charge of everything. And so they just basically have each a quarter share. And they vote based on the quarter.
Yep.
So when Jane dies, that leaves Bob as the like minority share here, and the Kowalskis with 50% of the company, and him with 25%, which I did not understand because they were married. Her 25% should have reverted to him, and instead they were like, "Fuck it, that shit's just up in the air."
I think it did, but they just still went on the vote shit, and so now it was. Your vote really doesn't count, nigga, because we always gonna vote together. So I think he got her quarter, but they were still voting. So now it's 2-1 every time. So it's
maybe, which is again,
it was still weird.
Was Bob smoking dicks? Because
he just really wasn't into the business side at all.
Amen.
It didn't end up well for him.
Because there is no business in which you can own 50% of the shares and not have 50% of the votes.
Right. Real shit.
Like that's not.
So we'll just fucking be gridlocked for the rest of our lives in this company.
Because I wonder,
and I'll be like, me and my dead wife say no, and that would have been
a hard pass for us.
I wonder if that's why they brought that up. Was that in the contract to say, hey, we're going to have a voting system, and if somebody dies, their vote just knows. You know what I mean? I wonder if that was in there, because I'm like, I feel the same way you do. Like, how the fuck you going to tell me that I got 50% of this shit, and you niggas is just voting?
Not in the business realm. Not in the business realm.
God bless him. That man just wanted to paint, and he didn't give a fuck about nothing else until he was damn near at death's door, and the Grim Reaper showed up, and he was like, oh, shit, I probably need a will, which is wild.
Right.
So Bob ended up marrying a nurse that was taking care of him, because he knew that that's what they were doing again with the constant phone calls. So I thought that was their end goal. So he married a nurse that was helping take care of him to try to keep them away from him, basically, like his name, his likeness.
And this
he lost all his hair. He was skinny. He couldn't talk. He couldn't drink really.
Now, Steve was sitting there about to cry, and he was gonna make me cry, and I was like, "I'm happy."
I was gonna say this shit hurt me. This part hurt.
Yeah,
I didn't want that. I mean, and that's the thing. I guess he was such a private person, and he knew that he had brought so much joy to so many people that he didn't want anybody to see him like that.
And that's very understandable. It's just like when Dana, he said Dana, he talked to Dana and he told Dana what was going on, and Dana's like, I'm coming to see you, and he's like, nah, bro, I'm a whole 85 pounds. I need you to remember me the last way you saw me. You know what I'm saying? And it was just real sad. And it was even sadder is in the sense when all of this is going on, they're calling him and they're trying to take his name and all of this shit. Steve just saw the contract. He's ripping it up. Fuck that. We ain't doing all of that. Bob goes amongst himself, like Chris was saying, to marry the nurse that was taking care of him. And when he marries her, he sets it up. And this is why fuck niggas, man. He sets it up to where it was, because I was always like, why the fuck are we even hearing about this fuck ass stepbrother? And now we know why. He sets it up to where his stepbrother and his son will be set for fucking life off of his name and likeness. But because his son, I'm almost assuming that maybe Steve was still under 21 or maybe just in that early 20 age range.
Is what I'm assuming. Because when he was on the show, I'm assuming he was a teenager in the 80s.
Right.
So I'm assuming by this time he's an illegal adult, but
still
a functional adult.
Right. And so he gives Steve 49% of the company, or I'm sorry, his likeness and image, and gives his stepbrother 51%. Bob goes and passes away, and we fast forward to a point to where it shows Steve actually getting with the son of the owner of Weber and Dana, and them starting Robert Steve Ross company and fighting over the name and all of that. And he finds some paperwork that shows, hey, my dad left the company to me and my uncle.
Intellectual property and his use of name and likeness to me.
Right. And so we should be able to go over here, fight these guys, and just tell them to fucking cease and desist. They're done. We've won. I got this. We've won. They go, they start a case, and their lawyers tell them to sue before the Kowalski sue because it'll be cheaper. They go to court. They think everything is good. And what do we find out? None other than fucking Steve's uncle, Bob's half brother,
Jimmy Cox. There we go.
He knew this shit. Jimmy Cox, that was his name. And he sold the intellectual property and the likeness of Bob Ross to the fucking Kowalskis after Bob Ross died.
Basically, the Kowalskis were on their ass, calling them, harassing the new wife and the half brother. And instead of them being like, we're going to lawyer up, do not call us, do not bother us again, the half brother is just like, F it, and signs over the likeness because he doesn't want to be involved in a lawsuit and be tied up in this, which makes literally no sense, which is the way they frame it in the documentary. But to me, it just sounds like I need this money, and there was some type of settlement that he cannot discuss.
Yep.
Which is why he's not featured in this documentary.
Yeah, because he knew he'd have been sued too. Because my thing is, if everybody can't be that stupid, even if Bob wasn't into the fucking business side and whatever, you still can't tell me that you don't see that your brother is the fucking man. These people are only fighting so hard because they wouldn't be, they would have no, I ain't gonna say they wouldn't have no money, but the millions that they've made is simply off of him.
Right. His face is the face that's on things. Annette Kowalski's face is not selling paint and paintbrushes and books and chia pets. Nobody's buying the Annette Kowalski chia pet.
Come on, man. Right. Remember when they started showing everywhere his likeness was? And like you say, the chia pet, it was on fucking Family Guy. It was, I forgot what show it was. The girl dressed up as Bob Ross for Halloween. They didn't show it, but there's a Boondocks episode where Riley and Bob Ross go through the neighborhood, fucking painting murals of happy times on the sides of people's homes. This man packed this shit.
Oh so yeah, much. He had them fucking tagging up shit. Yeah, but like good tagging.
The night. Yeah, I remember Bob Ross was running from the police, and he still had that soft ass voice. No, Riley, go ahead and get out the car. I'm gonna take care of this. Like, you know what I mean?
But yeah, it was really crazy. Like
me too.
He left his. You can't have one.
But now
You don't
because
have the
now
Bob
that
Oh
we know
yeah,
that
you can't have one. Sorry, you
Yeah.
can't have one.
now that
Because
you know
the
that
Kowalskis get all the money.
It's just
I
you
want
know,
one too, but we can't have one.
Yeah.
Not
I want
until
a
we
lot
take
of-
down the Kowalskis.
Yeah.
yeah.
So okay, so they lost the lawsuit, but then there was an option to an appeal,
Right.
but they didn't have the
They
$90,000.
needed 90 racks. Yeah.
Guys, here's the time where I gotta just take a moment and just like tell you how fucked up everybody is, because y'all will go give millions of dollars to people who don't fucking deserve it, that be whining on the internet. And here's Bob Ross's son that only needed $90,000 and nobody set up a GoFundMe for him.
I
And
don't
this was
think
in
they
the
knew
days of
what
the
it was.
GoFundMe.
Oh, okay, maybe.
Huh?
I don't think
Huh?
they knew what GoFundMe was.
It's possible.
But this was 2019.
Yeah, this just happened.
The appeal was 2019.
So you trying to tell me if they would have set up a motherfucking GoFundMe that niggas wouldn't have scraped up and got this nigga $90,000 to get his
Easy.
daddy's name?
For Bob Ross, easy.
Anything.
I think
Anything
he
for
could've-
Selena and Bob Ross.
I think he could have made a public appeal. I think he could have got on. I think he honestly could have called PBS and been like, "Hey guys,
I need
shit's
viewers
fucked up.
like you.
Shit's fucked up over here. I need like 5 minutes of airtime. Can't
Right.
really
Yeah.
like I don't got 90 racks to throw at you about it, but hey, like Bob made y'all a lot of money. Y'all was over here doing a lot of shit, parlayed off his back. I'ma just need you to give me 5
I
minutes.
drew those mountains for y'all those few times.
Right.
Like remember that time I was there for 4 episodes out of 12 in the season? Like I need you to have my back.
Real talk.
Right. Real talk.
But yeah, I mean, people do public appeals for everything else. Hell, if he can't get in the news, that's a newsworthy story. The
Very
beloved
much
Bob
so.
Ross's son is facing bankruptcy and can't paint.
I think, you know what? And I
Right.
think
He literally can't even go out and be like, "Oh, y'all, what's up? Remember me? I'm Steve Ross." Like, he literally can't even go do that. For
Like he
real.
can't say I am Stephen Ross, and that is his name because he shares
That's
a last name
literally
with
his
the
the crazy,
name.
no, the crazy part, he can say Stephen Ross. He can't use the name Robert Ross because it's Bob Ross. And that's the fucked up part. This nigga's Bob Jr. That's his name. And he can't fucking
He
use
can't even
it.
use
Like,
his own fucking name.
you know what I'm saying? And another part that kind of goes to, because Dana even said it when they lost, the nigga went into seclusion. Remember, they was like, he wouldn't come out for shit. And it's like, he's now, he got him back out, but it was just like, to the point of the GoFundMe shit, it was like, yo, the way Bob was so private, I think Steven took on that same mantra, but at the same time, bro, you just lost some shit you weren't supposed to lose.
Mm-hmm.
And even though legally you were supposed to lose it, you lost it because your fuck ass uncle was a bitch nigga. Like,
Right.
You need to be pushing.
And guys, mind you, he didn't even find out any of this until the deposition.
Right. Remember that?
So
nigga was
that's
like,
super. He was like, "What the
I
fuck
forgot
is
about that
this?"
part. Right.
He was like, "What the fuck is
"Did
like?"
you know your
They
uncle
literally
settled?"
was like, "Oh, do you remember how your uncle was in litigation with them, and then he sold the rights?" He was like, "No, what the fuck? Why would he do that?"
What are you talking
And they
about?
were like, "Oh well, here, girl, read this." Like,
right. Real shit.
and he didn't even know about it until that. So that was pretty fucking crazy. That's really fucked up. But Dana called him and was like, "Yeah, get your ass up out of that shit. Like, your dad wouldn't want this shit."
Right. Get back to painting this shit.
Right. So let me see. Blah blah blah. This is basically it. There were also some recordings. So remember when I said that old boy was an ex-CIA and he was recording business meetings and shit? Like, Bob learned how to do that from him.
Right.
And so he had some recordings that at the end, near the end, when he felt the shit was going sour with the Kowalskis, he started recording those conversations. But of course, in that suit that Jimmy didn't want no part of, that the recordings
Those tapes were part of it.
and so now we don't ever know what the fuck was really going on with Bob and the Kowalskis, like how deep that shit really got, and how like the only thing we know is that he did not want them to have all of this control.
Yep. And now everything is like when they showed the little the TV news thing, or whatever, and the lady was like, "Yeah, we're just selling Bob Ross products because he brought so much joy to people." And like, motherfuckers is making millions of dollars to this day off of Bob. For one, Bob Ross died in 95.
We didn't even know that.
Right. For anybody that watched it and you didn't watch it and you just heard me say this, nigga, none of us knew. If a nigga would have told me before watching this documentary that Bob Ross was somewhere chilling, sitting on the $500,000 with all his drugs, all his money, all his women. If you know where that line is from, you're a good motherfucker. Anyway, I would have believed it. I had no idea that this man who brought, and I think that's the most sad part about it, is we look at so many different people, and so many different people do dumb shit, and we forgive them or we don't. But either way it goes, they're still alive, and we talk about them, and we know when they die, and we pass judgment or we don't. A nigga who really nobody has anything bad to say about literally got dealt the worst fucking deal. And there's nobody that gives a fuck. And it's not that people don't give a fuck. They purposely, that's another thing. When he died, they
kept that shit under wraps.
Nobody knew. And
it was less than 50 people.
Funeral.
Yeah,
they didn't go to his funeral, and it was less than 50 people there.
No, John was about to cry. I give him, he held his own, but he was like, "I'd have loved to be at his funeral." That was his man's.
Yeah, John is almost where you can pinpoint where Bob decided to become Bob Ross. Like
exactly.
That's crazy.
And that was his man's, and it's like they didn't want nobody knowing. That's what Steve said. They didn't want anybody to know because
they wanted to keep selling stuff.
Yeah, nigga. I mean, dead people. The shit would have sold, but it would not have sold the way that it did with people still thinking Bob Ross is alive.
And also, we can't forge these paintings and put his name on the bottom and sell them as original Bob Ross's.
That's another thing. Yeah.
If people think that, if people know that he's dead, then how they were people the dude from
they went over to France.
The Netherlands,
the Netherlands. Then they start pushing Bob Ross products in the Netherlands. This dude says he comes to America or wherever this major warehouse was at. It might have even been in the Netherlands as well. And there was a guy signing Bob Ross's name on paintings after Bob Ross has been dead for over 20-something years. He also says they also go to find out who, because with anything, there's an authenticator, and there's usually hundreds of people who can have these jobs and they're ranked. The only person legally licensed to authenticate a Bob Ross painting is Annette fucking Kowalski. You dirty, dirty bitch.
Yep.
The Carol
also, there you go. Also to know, remember when I told you that Bob wanted to start teaching people how to paint? Those certifications start to get very, very insane. They got contracts where basically like, if your mama is a painter, you better not be promoting her. You can't tell nobody that your mama is a good painter. Like, and you can't promote any other artists. You can't do promo or use any other products.
Only
but Bob Ross's products. Yep. So your baby cousin from fucking the East Coast who wanted to be a painter his whole life and he creates some Badger brushes, you can't even support him because you have a contract under these maniacs. They were also encouraged to tell on each other. There was one story where a lady was just in class helping and shit. He really did deserve a better than what he got at the end.
He did.
A lady's in class and she's teaching and somebody comes up quietly like, "Girl, put all your brushes in the bag, roll up that canvas, and get the fuck up out of here.
Don't speak to nobody, because don't make no sudden movements. Get the fuck out."
And you like, did she like steal something or did she like do something crazy? She literally just mentions to somebody else like it would be really nice to go to a Jenkins class.
That was it.
Because remember, Steve got the mountains, Bob got the happy little trees, Jenkins got the flowers. Like
maybe she wanted to go work on her flower game.
Maybe her daughter was pregnant and she wanted to draw a flower on the wall.
Like you're supposed to call great value
Great Value Jenkins.
Yeah, great value Jenkins. You're not supposed to call.
Listen, I cannot. They were basically just changing the feel of the company. Even though it was called Bob Ross Incorporated, I really feel like at that point they had taken the Bob out of it. Like, I don't. At this point, it's just the Kowalskis.
It was just
Bob's
a business for them, And it makes me think, especially when, like you brought up, he was a CIA agent. Was they pimping from the jump? Was this always just fuck
the plan? Fuck
this dude. We know we see what this is. Let's see, and let's just get in where we fit.
Let's write this out. Yeah.
Yep.
That's crazy. But that's basically it, you guys. Bob Ross Incorporated is still a thing. They still sell all of the things. I'm just gonna strongly suggest y'all don't fucking buy that shit.
Yep.
I say if you want a Bob Ross shirt, make it on Teespring.
Make your own, right? Yeah,
or have Baylor make it,
real
or
shit.
just anything
Get on
besides
Etsy
actually
where
fact,
they got the cricket
let's
joints
push
they
that
turning
shit.
out.
Baylor. We need Bob Ross shit.
Baylorism Bob Ross shirts.
We
Please.
need a Baylorism all docked up t-shirt.
This I need to text
Word.
him.
I'm about to hit
we
this
need
nigga as
to
soon as we.
But we do
somebody
need the
just-
Bob, but I do need the Bob Ross joint also.
Yeah.
Yes, true. Like I feel like that's the only way we can really support it.
That's
It can't be.
right.
This is the first time I'm gonna say you can't buy officially licensed products because it's not going to who it's supposed to be going to. Steve is not getting this money, and that's
None of it.
When the documentary ends, it says that the Kowalskis say there was never any fracture between them and Bob Ross. They also say that Bob and Annette never slept together. This is not them on the show. This is them sending some.
This is them finally because again the producers did ask for their input at first.
Yep.
They declined. And then as they were wrapping up, they sent them something like, "Oh, like it was good," and nobody fucking nobody like.
But to this day, Robert Stephen Ross has not received one fucking red cent off of anything that his father's name has produced after his
face. Stop. Not even just his name.
Not even his right.
The fucking logo is this nigga's whole face, and not like the Alfred Hitchcock fucking outline. It is literally this whole nigga face
with the
this
original
face, just the whole face, just the face. Like
yeah, it's wild. Yep. Keep in mind they took all of his paintings. They wanted everything out of
from Bob's house.
Oh,
like we're not talking about.
They wanted the paintings.
They took all his shit.
The wall.
Yeah.
Like the man is dead, and they ran up in his shit and sued his family and was like, "We want the shit off the walls. I don't.
We want the brushes he used. We want the paintings he painted for y'all. We want everything.
All of that shit." And when in the a piece of the documentary, Steve goes to the original house in Wisconsin, in Indiana, and there's Bob Ross shit all over the fucking place. Like, damn. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, I don't wish death on nobody, but Kowalski's, there's a very special AIDS dick in hell waiting on you, I'm sure. I'm fucking sure.
They weren't able to follow through with their appeal, but I did some outside Googling. And so in the end, Steve and Dana and the other gentleman, Lawrence, struck a deal with the Kowalskis basically in exchange for like a modest payment. Steve gave up his claims of Bob's intellectual property, but he also got clearance from BRI that he would be able to move forward with his business under his name and the right under non-disclosure agreements to show the terms of the settlement to prospective business partners so that they wouldn't be afraid of being sued. Basically, he came away from this with like 20 grand.
With his shit?
Yeah, he came away from this with like 20 grand and the ability to go back on the road and teach painting, which is what they told us he was doing at the end of this.
Right.
But that's bullshit. It's bullshit.
I feel like maybe we need to Can I start a GoFundMe? What can he?
I don't know. Like we need to talk to him. Like
maybe we should. Yo, Steve.
Like, hey, we just 3 black kids that like really give a fuck about you and your daddy. Like,
that got me too, nigga.
I don't know. Like Bob Ross brought so much joy to so many people, and I just think that when you are able to do something so trivial, I guess, in the grand scheme of things, it's just painting, right? It's just 30 minutes of painting trees and landscape, but to be able to do that in such a way that you come into people's homes every day and have them feel genuine sorrow and sympathy about your wife's passing, to where they're sending cards and
hundreds and hundreds of letters.
Right. And these kids are showing up in Central Park when you go out there by the hundreds just to show you that they painted something like you,
that you taught them.
Right. I mean, I think that is a certain level of joy that you cannot really get in any other way. So it's sad and unfortunate that it had to end this way with people that did not have his best interest. But I will say this, if you ever get into business with people, make sure that you are the controlling shareholder.
Fuck yeah,
Yeah, true shit.
But because I also did some Googling to find out what happened with the shares. When Jane died, they reconfigured it to where they each got a third. So he did not get 25%.
So they still had more
majority.
Correct. So what happened is they reconfigured it to a third apiece, and so he owned 33% of the company now, but they own 66.
Damn, that's so trash. Bob. I hate all of this for him.
It's shitty. That just made me sad.
That
made me sad. God damn.
But we done though, so.
If you haven't watched the documentary, go watch it. If you just heard us, we're gonna hit Baylor. If you're still watching, y'all should also hit Baylor and tell them we need some Baylorism, Bob Ross tees, and some all docked up Baylorism tees. And
all right, guys. Well, this is All Docked Up. Again, the documentary is Bob Ross, Happy Accidents, Betrayal and Greed. It's on Netflix. Go watch it. It's great.
If you're a true All Docked Up watcher, I want you to tell me what's different about today's show. If you can point it out.
I see. I know what it is.
We didn't point it out, so you tell us.
So okay, guys, look out for oh nice, thank you. Also, make sure you guys look out. I know that like we've been recording, but like I just haven't put them out. But tonight I'm gonna have them all out. So you're gonna have this one, and then the last two as well. So look out for those. You're gonna have so much shit to watch and so much of us to watch. So that's it. I'm Chris. That's VJ down there. That's been. I'm just gonna start just switching y'all. Just anyway, whoever. Just easier that way. All right, guys. Well, this is All Docked Up, and it's Monday, and this was random. So bye.
Bye.
Peace.